be some sort of single or double trigger um, acceleration of vesting upon an acquisition. And then there are other potential things that you might do that for as well, like for a wrongful termination or things like that. Those would be the only people that you would do this. But the alignment piece that you're talking about, I don't understand how that aligns anything with anything. This is all about protection, protecting you in a change of control situation. That's what we're really talking about here. So if you're acquired and you want to make sure that during that acquisition process, you are protected, because let's say that you have a 4-year vesting on your initial equity that you got as a CEO, because typically we have reverse vesting. So even though you might have 25, 30% of the company, whatever the number is, that doesn't mean you get all that up front. It's going to vest over time. So let's say we're in year 1.5, let's say, and magically you get an offer to be acquired. Well, that's great. That's really good stuff that you got this offer. Now, having said that you got this offer, and let's say that what happens to your equity? Because now you've got 2.5 years or so of equity that is unvested. And in theory, they could acquire you, fire you, and then suddenly you lose all this equity. So what's the protection? The protection is what you're talking about, the acceleration of equity upon an acquisition. That's typically how you protect yourself. And then there may be some other negotiated agreements between yourself and the acquiring company. This is the thing, though. How do you protect yourself from this? How do you make sure that this is done right, rather than asking me on YouTube in this type of forum where I'm going to give you a very general answer? How do you protect yourself? The way we protect ourselves is we make sure that the agreements are structured properly. And how do we do that? We hire a good lawyer. Hire a startup attorney that's been through this before, that has been through term sheets, has been through M&A. If you find somebody good, they'll understand how to structure this agreement, and that will help you. So anyways, I hope that helps. Let's go to our next question. I have a situation. For my pre-seed round, I need $30,000 for the product, but I also need around $100,000 for machinery. So it's 130 now we're talking about. So could you please explain a bit about CapEx and how to handle it at the pre-seed stage? Asking for 130 at the stage feels like a lot and might end up diluting too much of my equity. That's why I'm thinking of using a SAFE with a cap. Okay, let's ignore the SAFE note for just a second. And then there's a second question as a follow-up, which we'll get to. Okay, the first part of your question is, well, look, the money you need is the money you need. And the market's going to tell you, the market being is investors, is going to tell you whether you're asking for too much or not. That's part of our answer here. Is you can't break it up into, well, I need $30,000 for the product, $100,000 for CapEx. You haven't even told me about what are you going to pay yourself. You also got salaries. And typically salaries are where we spend the most money, quite frankly. So you have to kind of add it all up, and you want that money to last you ideally 18 to 24 months. So how much money do we need? And then if you believe the right amount of money, let's say in your particular case is $130,000, okay, great. Then you got to go find investors that are going to go do that. The thing I would not worry about is the dilution. I think when we start worrying about dilution, and I understand the fear, but there's a very simple question. There's a very simple question you can ask yourself. Would you rather have 80% of what you had before the round and have a company, or 100% of what you have now and not have a company? You're going to get diluted. That's just a part of life. If you need to raise the $130,000